Greetings, Groo fans. I'm Mark. That's Sergio. We got some questions here to answer that you have sent us in. Jason Smith wants to know, perhaps it might be interesting to find out how each major character got their name. Were the characters made up for the story, or did Sergio have a few of these characters in his mind before Groo started? Okay. Did you have any characters in mind before Groo?
Well, what happened is that the time that we are talking about the names is when I thought about Gru. I needed a name that nobody had, and it had to sound like a barbarian. So I spent a lot of time going, making noises to see if I could have the onomatopoeia for a good name. And Gru came in about the Gru. Gru sounded good. And I spent a lot of times looking in the telephone directories from all over the United States if there was any Grus, and I didn't find any. So Gru was, and I put the name. And then when it came out, I started getting mail from a lot of people called Gru, a Gru who owns a bank. Even my neighbor drugstore, his daughter who was working there says, "Oh, my father's name is Gru." So, but that was the beginning. And Arban the Carba was an obvious one because it's abracadabra backwards.
Yes. And you named Arba and Karba.
Yeah.
And I believe I named the Sage.
Yes. And Minstrel.
And I named the Minstrel. And you named Toronto.
Yes,
and
that's because what he has on his helmet is a little tarantula. And in Europe, in Italy, there's a very wonderful town full of history by the point in the opposite of the peninsula at the end of the boot. It's called Taranto, and I thought it was a great name because of the tarantula.
Okay.
Yes.
And you named Rufferto because you already had a dog named Rufferto.
Yeah.
And you named Chakal, I believe.
Yes, I had other names before, but they didn't sound menacing enough. They were names of flowers and things. But Chakal was a good name. And so far, Chakal is the license plate of her car.
That's right.
Car. And your car license plate is?
Magnor. Because we were doing the Magnor comic book at the time. I bought the car before this one. I carried the license plate over from that one.
Yes.
And people stop me and ask me what Magnor means all the time. We got to get that comic book back in print so people will stop asking me what Magnor means.
I think we should make a collected, because we have 6 issues there that will make a very nice graphic novel.
All right. I'm fine with that. Let's do that.
Right. Let's find a publisher that wants to do it.
Okay.
And as soon as the pandemic is out, the stores will carry it. Yeah, I'm all for it. Yes.
Okay, good. Now, as I recall, the Sage was the first supporting character we came up with, right?
I think so. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And I don't have no idea who the next was. Probably Toronto was probably the next one. But from that point on, it's like the order they appeared in the comics. We created them, came up with them when we needed them.
What happened is when you need a character, then you create it for the convenience of the thing, and then you give it a name. The majority of names that had relationship with Spanish related, for instance, we did a story about horses, so it was called The Horses of Caballo, whose caballo means horse in Spanish, and in another one that had something to do with pigs and that, I put the names of the towns where my mother was born and things like that. It's always fun to add little fun words that somebody is going to write and say, "Hey, that's the name of my town," or something like that. So it's fun. It's an added fun for us.
And every so often we name characters or cities after people we know.
That's true too.
For instance, recently in Groo, somebody was eating Don Rosa chilies.
Yes, in the Gods Against Groo, he orders. Don Rosa is a great cartoonist. Those the Donald Duck, Uncle Scrooge comics, as he's one of the best cartoonists, and his name is Don Rosa, and his hobby is planting chiles. He has a whole hacienda of chiles, and they're very piquant. They're really, really strong. So one of the chiles that one of the natives on the coast where Groo is added Don Rosa chiles. Don Rosa, one word instead of Don Rosa is Don Rosa chiles. So we have fun that. And yes, that's fun. That's fun.
Good.
And
All
then
right.
Mark with the name Groo, remember for a guy who was what was it? An accountant or something that his name was
The ambassador of peace.
the ambassador of peace. His name was Groo, GRO.
GRU. It was GRU.
GRU.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Remember, I gave you that idea for that story at a Sizzler restaurant. I told you there's a guy who walks around this village that's from town to town, spreading peace and love, and his name is Groo, spelled GRU. But
I got it.
that was it. That was the entire plot conference. Yes.
Wait a minute, I have it. Yeah.
Yes. That Sizzler is not there anymore. We wrote a lot of stuff at that Sizzler.
Yes.
It was a very fine place. We did a lot of it. We wrote a lot of stuff at Cantor's Delicatessen and a lot of stuff at the Sizzler. And now we don't eat when we plot stories because we're, in different cities right now. We're many miles apart during the pandemic. I haven't seen you in person now for about a year and a half.
That's a long time.
More than that. Yes.
That's a long time.
I used to see you every week, and you used to like to come to my house and we'd sit and talk and stuff and things. Anyway, all right, that's our question for this week. We'll be back next week with another question for Mark and Sergio. Thank you for joining us.